Thank you, Speaker. As a member of the government, I rise in strong opposition to the opposition's position, and I firmly reject their argument that the death penalty must remain in place for justice to be served and for society to be protected. While they claim to advocate for justice, we believe that maintaining the death penalty only serves to perpetuate harm, injustice, and inequality. I will respond to their points one by one, demonstrating how their position fails to uphold the values of justice, fairness, and human dignity. On wrongful convictions, the opposition acknowledges that wrongful convictions are a harm, but they attempt to minimize their significance by claiming that they are rare and reforms have reduced the risks. While it is true that reforms and procedures have been implemented to address these issues, the facts are clear. Even one wrongful execution is one too many. Over 190 individuals have been exonerated from the death row system in the United States since 1973. This is not a minor flaw in the system, but instead it's a systematic failure that exposes the risks of irreversible punishment. The opposition's attempt to downplay these numbers is both irresponsible and misleading. We should not gamble with human lives based on the assumption that wrongful convictions are rare. There's no room for error when it comes to taking a life. Unlike life without parole, the death penalty offers no second chance, and no system can guarantee perfection. Until we can absolutely be certain that every conviction is just, we must abolish the death penalty. The fact remains that no matter how many reforms are made, the risk of executing the innocent is one that should not be accepted. Next, on justice for victims' families. The opposition argues that the death penalty brings justice and closure to victims' families, yet fails to address the prolonged trauma that comes with the appeals process. The lengthy and emotionally exhausting legal battles that accompany the death penalty cases often result in the victims' families being re-traumatized for years and sometimes even decades. It is essential to understand that the legal process, not just for the defendant but for the victims' families, can be prolonged and filled with anguish. The example of Winchell and Alexander v. Beard, cited the opposition, actually highlights the frustration of victims' families and the drawn-out legal process, rather than supporting their call for more executions. Families who go through this process are often left with unresolved grief, and research shows that many find more peace and closure through life without parole than through execution. True justice for families means bringing closure and healing, not prolonging the suffering. The opposition's argument entirely misses this important aspect. The real issue is not about punishing the guilty, but about providing justice in a way that does not continue to harm those who have already suffered enough. On racial bias and economic bias, the opposition claims that inequality in the application of the death penalty is a matter of access, but this is simply not true. Inequality is built into the very fabric of the death penalty system. Studies consistently show that race and economic status play a significant role in who gets sentenced to death. In California, those who commit a murder against white victims are far more likely to receive the death penalty sentence, and defendants of color are disproportionately represented on death row. This is not a question of access, but a matter of deep systematic racism within our justice system. The opposition fails to address this fundamental flaw in their argument. They suggest that the solution is better access to legal representation and fairer trials, but the truth is that the system itself is inherently biased. On deterrence and crime severity. The opposition claims that the death penalty serves as a deterrent to crime, especially in the most severe cases, but there is no credible evidence to support this claim. Research consistently shows that states without the death penalty have lower murder rates than those that maintain it. The argument that the death penalty is necessary for the most heinous crimes overlooks the fact that life without parole is just an effective alternative. The life sentences ensure public safety without the need for irreversible punishment. The opposition's position assumes that the severity of crime demands the most extreme punishment, but this perspective fails to recognize that justice is not about vengeance. True justice seeks to protect society and punish wrongdoing in a fair, humane way without risking lives of the innocent. In conclusion, the death penalty in California is a costly, ineffective, racially biased, and deeply flawed institution that undermines the values of justice, fairness, and equality. It is a punishment that perpetuates trauma, harms victims' families, and carries the inherent risk of wrongful execution. The solution to the flaws in our justice system is not to perpetuate a broken system, but to embrace a more just, human alternative, life without parole. We urge you to vote in favor of abolishing the death penalty. Thank you.